simple, humble sprout is the nutrition powerhouse that I like to have as a staple in my fridge at all times. And I'm going to show you a few of my favorite things to sprout this week. I'm going to show you how easy it is, how affordable it is, and I'm going to show you a couple of recipes that have become staples in my weekly diet that are packed with nutrition and also very tasty. So let's get started. I'm going to show you what sprouts I'll be making today. And very simple, very affordable ingredients here. I just have some broccoli seeds. These are specific for sprouting. And I'll put a link below where I get all of these. This, of course, is just a Whole Foods brand. These are red lentils. I'll be sprouting some of those. Of course, some organic chickpeas, which are so affordable to buy in bulk. And I'll also be sprouting some pumpkin seeds. So let's get started with the easiest first, and that is the broccoli seeds. It's so easy. The only equipment that you're going to need to sprout some broccoli seeds is just a mason jar with a sprouting lid. There's no need to get anything fancy. This is just a sprouting screen that fits right into the regular ring of a mason jar. That's it. We need our seeds, our jar, and some filtered water. Now, I like to use filtered water. Depending on where you live, you may or may not need to use filtered water. Just depending on like how much chlorine and all of that other stuff is in your regular water. That's up to you. If you're fine with using regular water, I don't think it makes a huge difference in the sprouting ratio that I have ever noticed, but in my regular tap water here where I live, there is not a lot of chlorine. But I know when I travel and in other places, like it smells like pool water, right? You can definitely smell the chlorine in the tap water. So if that's the case where you live, I would recommend getting some filtered water. Some drinking water or distilled water is fine. So just into the jar, I'm going to put, this is 2 tablespoons, this protein scoop that I reuse out of my protein powder. And these make great little scoops. So I'm going to put about 3 tablespoons in this jar. So easy. And I'm just going to cover them with my filtered water. And I'm just, for everything that I sprout, I'm going to add about twice as much water as I have beans or seeds. And just on with the lid. And for this first step, I'm just going to set this aside and let those soak with the broccoli seeds. You can soak them in as little as 4 hours. So let's move on to, what do we want to do next? We'll do lentils next. Also super easy. And all you'll need to sprout your lentils is a glass bowl, some lentils. I have about 3/4 of a cup of lentils here. And you'll need some kind of strainer basket for these and for the chickpeas. So any size strainer, mesh strainer, plastic, whatever you have is fine. So I'm going to use this one for the chickpeas and probably one of my little metal mesh strainers for that. But you could also do the lentils in a jar, which I may do also. We'll see. Into the bowl with my water and my lentils. And these again will soak for this first soak for only about 4 to 6 hours. And we'll move on to our pumpkin seeds. Same thing, just adding those to the bowl and covering those with water. And these I am going to soak for about 8 to 12 hours or overnight. But in this case and in the case of the chickpeas, you want to change your water every, I would say, 4 to 6 hours, depending on how cool or warm it is in your house. It's pretty cool here in our house because Mr. Tony likes to crank up the air conditioner when he's home. So it's about 72 degrees here in our house, which is cool for me, but a little bit warm for other people. So these I will switch the water out probably about every 4 to 6 hours. If it's warmer where you live or warmer in your house and really humid, I would suggest that you switch the water out about every 4 hours. So set those to the side and into my large bowl with my chickpeas, of which I have about 1.5 cups. And we have, I think, just the right amount of water left. Yep, to go ahead and soak those. We had a runaway here. Okay, and the same with these. I'm just going to let these soak overnight or for about 12 hours. So after my broccoli and lentils have soaked for about 6 hours, I have just drained the soaking water and rinsed them, and I have my sprouting lids on here, and you can use really whatever you have on hand to prop these up. You can use a sprouting rack. There are racks that you can buy like at the dollar store, plastic ones or metal ones that you can set up as a sprouting rack. But I'm just going to show you, you can literally use whatever you have on hand that you can prop your jars up to where they have a little bit of airflow and they're sitting at an angle so that they will drain the excess water. So you want these to stay moist but not wet, and you want a little airflow. And another thing that you want is you want to cover them from direct sunlight. You can throw them in a cabinet, or you could just put them in a part of your kitchen that doesn't get direct light. I like to just go ahead and cover them, but leave the airflow at the bottom and cover the jars with just a clean kitchen towel and just set them to the side. And I will rinse them and drain them and repeat this process every like 4 to 6 hours. For these will take probably 2 to 3 days to actually sprout to the size that we want the little sprouts to be. And then at that point, I'll still continue to rinse and drain them on the same schedule for another day, but I'll expose them to sunlight so they can get nice and green. So we'll just slide those to the side. And with my pumpkin seeds, I'm just going to rinse and drain these too, and I'm going to just add some more soaking liquid and continue soaking these overnight. But you can see these are already developing a nice little sprouted tail on them. And at this point, you can take these out, dry them and dehydrate them and use them or eat them just like this. I'm going to continue to sprout these for the rest of the day and check on these again. What I'm going to do with my chickpeas, you'll see that you'll get a little foamy liquid on top of your chickpeas, and that's fine, don't worry about it. It's perfectly normal. I'm going to rinse and drain these and fill this bowl back up again with water. These are going to soak for at least 24 hours before we put them in the colander to sprout. Good morning. It is day 3 of our little sprouting project here. And I just wanted to show you real quick before I go to work what's going on with all of my little sprouts. So I'm going to start with the pumpkin seeds. These have started to form tiny little tails. Tiny little tails on there. I have just continued to rinse and drain everything on a pretty regular schedule. Now, don't worry if you don't get to it exactly at 6 hours. It's going to be all right. The point in rinsing and draining is to keep, of course, any bacteria from forming in there. You'll never be able to 100% stop all bacteria, but just to be safe, you want to keep them rinsed, but also you want to keep them moist. So they're not going to sprout if they completely dry out. So just make sure that you're rinsing them often enough that they don't completely dry out. So these are ready for me to use for the recipe that I want to use them for. My pumpkin seeds, I'm just going to store in the refrigerator for now. If you wanted them to be crunchy, to use them like for salad toppings or for snacking or for making dips or dressings, you can either save them in the refrigerator, or if you want them crunchy, you can go ahead and put them in the dehydrator for about 4 to 6 hours. They dry out pretty quickly, and you can use them for crunchy salad toppings, and you can actually grind them up for protein to add to your plant milk. Next, let me show you my chickpeas. So the chickpeas will take the longest to sprout, but they have started to form tiny little tails on there, so that's a good sign. Your chickpeas are the ones that are going to have the tendency to go bad quickly on you. You'll know, you will know if they do. They will smell bad. But so just every time you give them a rinse, just sniff them. They'll smell like a fresh garden salad. They won't smell like cooked chickpeas. They smell kind of green, if that makes sense. And they should smell good. But you will definitely know if they are going bad. So these need another day for them to be fully sprouted the way that I like to use them. They do have a little bit of a tail on there, which means they've sprouted, and you could use them at this point. But I'm going to rinse and drain mine for just another day. I just like to do it 4 days. I think they get a little bit tastier the little bit longer the tail is. They taste more like salad than a chickpea. Okay, and let me show you my broccoli and lentils. Broccoli and lentils, they're small like little seeds, right? Especially the broccoli, it's just a seed. It's going to sprout the quickest. And we already have really nice long tails, and you can see a few little tails sticking out the bottom here. That's normal. They're just reaching out for the moisture that's in the bottom of the bowl here. So these and my lentil seeds, or lentils, they have a pretty good little tail on those now. So what I'm going to do, and I have just rinsed and drained them this morning. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm just going to leave them out uncovered for the day. They're right near this window, which will get a little bit of natural light. And after they've set in the window today under the natural light, the broccoli sprouts will turn a nice vibrant green color, and that's the way I like to have those. Just turn them toward the light there. They'll get a little bit of sunlight. And then after that, I'll give them a final rinse, and I'll lay them on a tray and let them kind of dry out a little bit before I store them in the refrigerator. And I do have a recipe I want to get to hopefully tonight when I get home from work. It's going to be a long day. It's a 12-hour shift. So I'm going to put my pumpkin seeds in the fridge, and hopefully I'll get to that recipe this evening. It's the morning of the 4th day, so let me show you what I do today. Everybody has got some nice, good tails on them. I don't know how well you can see that. These are about 1/8 of an inch long on my chickpeas. My broccoli sprouts have greened up really nice, and I have some good little tails on my lentils here. So everything looks awesome. The last thing I'm going to do is, for my chickpeas, I'm going to use these for a recipe. You can do all kinds of things with these. You can make chickpea salad, raw hummus, you name it. You can have them on top of your salads. They're really delicious. You can put them in the dehydrator. You can season them real good, put them in the dehydrator, and make a crunchy sprouted chickpea, great to snack on. So I'm just going to save these for later, and I've just given them a final rinse, and I'm just going to store them in the refrigerator. And my lentils, I just gave a final rinse. I'm going to put these on a dehydrator tray. I don't know if you could hear that, but the school bus just went by and it's so loud. I'm gonna put these on a dehydrator tray and dehydrate these for a crunchy salad topping. So I'm just going to set those aside. But what I wanted to show you is what you need to do with your broccoli sprouts. The seed hulls, the shell of the seed, is going to need to be separated from the sprouts. You can eat them if you'd like to, but really there's no like nutrition value pretty much left in the seed hull, and it's just, I mean, it's crunchy, but it's not like the best texture. It's not really what you're going for if you're eating your sprouts, right? And look how good these sprouted. I have so many sprouts. I think I put a little bit too much in this jar, which happens sometimes, but that's okay. So I'm just gonna dump these in my bowl. I'm just going to cover this in water. A bunch of holes stuck to my hand too. Cover it in water. You want to use a large bowl for this. And what will happen is the hulls will float to the top of the bowl. Use a large bowl so you have plenty of water. I probably could have gone a little bit bigger, but I wanted to use a clear bowl so you could see what I'm doing. And you can just scoop those off. You can use a large spoon or your hand, and you don't have to get 100% of them. You just want to get most of them out of there. And this only takes a couple minutes. I'm just gonna scrape them to the side there and just pull them right out. And these can just be discarded. You can put them in the compost, or I throw them out where I have the bird feeder. The birds like them, so. And I'm just going to strain these on a mesh strainer and lay them out on a towel to dry so that they can dry before I put them in their package and put them in the refrigerator for storage. So I've just got a couple of clean towels here, and I'm just going to spread these out. And I'm just going to let these hang out and dry while I'm at work today. And then when I get home, I'll pop them in the refrigerator. I'll probably have some for dinner tonight on a nice big salad. It sounds so good. Ooh, I'm telling you, that was a long day at work. But once my sprouts have dried, they're nice and dry. It was a long day. So once they're dry, you can kind of pick them up and shake them over the towel. And if you have any of the seed hulls left in there, they'll all just kind of fall to the bottom there. And I have just lined a bowl with a paper towel just to soak up any excess moisture. You don't want them to like dry out completely. You want them to have a little bit of moisture in there, but you don't want them to be wet. They'll just last longer if you get most of the moisture out of there. So I'm just going to kind of shake them off, get the rest of all of those little seed hulls out of there. You can go through several sifting processes if having too many seed hulls in there really bothers you, but it doesn't really bother me that much. So as long as I get, you know, let's say 70% out, I'm good with that. That suits me just fine. And I will just take these towels and shake them out around where my bird feeder is, and the birds really love that. They'll get some of these little sprouts that are stuck on the towel too, and
They appreciate that. And I like watching them come and eat. All the bums, my husband, Mr. Tony, calls all the hummingbirds and the squirrels and the all the little woodland creatures I feed around the property. He calls them the bums. That's okay. I don't mind. We should all be grateful for the abundance we have, right? And I'm just going to save a few for my dinner tonight. I think I'm going to have a nice salad, and I've got some avocado in there, and I'm just going to top everything with some of my yummy broccoli sprouts. And if you've never had broccoli sprouts, they don't really taste too much like broccoli. They taste a little bit fresher and they have a little bit more spice, almost kind of like a radish, but not quite that spicy. They're delicious.
So let me show you what I'm making with our beautiful sprouted pumpkin seeds. I've got my pumpkin seeds here. I have 2 dates that I have soaked. I have a little cinnamon and some salt and about 4 cups of filtered water. And if you haven't guessed yet, we're going to make some pumpkin milk. This is great in your coffee or your tea or your matcha. Makes a great creamer replacement, a healthy creamer replacement. So I'm just going to use my little NutriBullet blender here. No special equipment needed for this, just a regular blender. If you have one of those fancy milk making machines, by all means use that, but it's definitely not necessary here. So I'm just putting my pumpkin seeds in the blender, and this works for any kind of nut milk. You can just, blend it up and strain it and have your milk. You don't need any fancy equipment. My favorites are almond milk, cashew milk, and I really like to make rice milk once in a while too, out of brown rice. Really good. So I have about half a teaspoon of cinnamon in there, and I'm going in with my 2 soaked dates, and just a pinch of pink salt. It just gives it, the little something extra. You need a little salt in there, but if you're doing salt-free for dietary reasons, use a light salt in there, or one of the salt replacements. So I'm going to put about 1.5 cups of my water in there, just enough water to get this going, to start blended up. Well, maybe I'll go with like 2 cups. You don't have to blend up all of the water in there with it, just enough to get it blended up and going so you can strain it out. Of course, you want to blend that up pretty well. I let this one go for about a minute in my NutriBullet. If you have a high-speed blender like a Vitamix or a Blendtec, of course, it's going to go faster than that. But you just want to blend it up till it's really nice and smooth, and it will just strain through. I'll probably need to get a spoon and sift that through a little bit. And at this point, if you want to leave it thick and rich and creamy like this, you can certainly do that. It makes a fantastic, like I said, coffee creamer, or if you drink tea or matcha, it's great in that. It's great in a matcha. So one of the reasons why I like making my own plant milk is because I avoid all of the fillers that are in the store-bought stuff. Some of them are pretty good. Some of them are just the almond, a little salt, and filtered water. But most of the ones that are affordable have all kinds of emulsifiers and preservatives and just stuff that I really don't need or want. So I'm left with my pulp here, which I will save in a container in the freezer until I have enough of nut pulp and pulp from juicing vegetables and fruits that I can bake some muffins or some crackers or make some dip, some salad dressing. All of those things you can save the pulp for. And I have some of these juice containers that we buy cranberry juice in from time to time. It's my husband's favorite cranberry juice brand. It comes in a glass container with a really good lid. They're reusable. I love to use this for my plant milk. And I just have a little funnel here so I don't make a mess. And I'm just going to pour that right in. Oh, it smells so good. Nice and cinnamony and sweet. Then I'll just fill the rest up with my filtered water. And I'll leave just a little bit of room at the top so that I can shake it. When you make homemade nut milk, of course, or rice or oat milk, whatever kind of milk you're making, it will settle to the bottom just a little bit in the refrigerator. So before you use it, just give it a good shake. And I'm going to pour myself a glass of this before I put it in the refrigerator because I absolutely love this stuff. And this pumpkin seed milk with cinnamon makes a really good nightcap too. If you warm it up, you can put just a little bit of turmeric and cinnamon, extra cinnamon in there for some golden milk, and it is absolutely divine as a nightcap. Cheers! So good. Just the right amount of sweetness and salt and cinnamon. It is tasty. And it's very rich and creamy. So good. Next, let's make something really delicious out of our sprouted chickpeas. And that is some delicious raw falafels. I have one big lemon here, about 2 cups of chickpeas. And for spices, I have a teaspoon each of oregano, cumin, and coriander, and about half a teaspoon of salt. I have, of course, the usual falafel things. I have a big bunch of parsley. It's about a cup and a half of parsley if you're measuring. And I have 1 carrot, roughly chopped. I have 3 pretty small cloves of garlic. If you have a regular garlic bulb, this is probably 1 clove of garlic. I would suggest sticking between 1 to 3 cloves of garlic for the falafel. The sauce that I'm going to have mine with will also have garlic in it, so I don't want to like overpower it to where it tastes like nothing but garlic. So just a little bit of garlic in there is good for me. And I have 1 cup of sunflower seeds that I have soaked for about an hour. And I have about the equivalent of 1 onion, roughly chopped. I have about 1/4 each of a red onion and a yellow onion because I just had those hanging out from another recipe. And that's it, super simple. And I'm just going to make it right in the food processor, and it goes really quickly. So the first thing that I want to do is just get my chickpeas in and all of my spices and my garlic and my sunflower seeds. And the sunflower seeds will add a little bit of moisture to this just so we can get it going and so that the mixture will form into balls or patties. So let me just give this a rough chop real quick. Alright, and I'm just going to go in next with my carrot and my onion. Oh, it already smells so good. It smells so good. Now I'm going to give these another couple of pulses. Next, I'm just going to go in with some lemon juice. And look what I finally got myself. I don't know what happened to the other one that went into storage and did not come out of storage. I know I had a really nice antique glass juicer at some point somewhere. I don't know what happened to it. But I found this one on Amazon, and I was really happy to find one that was not made out of plastic. I've been looking for one in the stores, and they're all plastic. And I'm trying not to buy like a ton of plastic anymore, right? So I got myself this nice little juicer strainer here. It has a little pour spout on each side, and it holds about 2 cups of juice almost, so really, really handy. I'm loving this thing. But for this falafel mixture, this is such a huge, beautiful lemon. I'll probably only need the juice of about half of this, or about a 1/4 cup. And beautiful. Right in with that. And my parsley. And I'm just going to give this a rough chop in there, just blend it up a couple of times, and we will be ready to make our falafel. How easy is that? And I think we're good. So I'm just going to transfer this to my bowl. Oh, it smells absolutely delicious. You could eat this just like this as a wrap filling or on top of a salad. It's absolutely delicious just as is, as kind of a chickpea salad. But I really love making the falafel balls and putting them in the dehydrator. So that's what I'm going to do with these. And you're looking for the consistency to where it just kind of holds together when you form it into a ball. And you can form these into balls or patties, little patties. So if they don't stick together, you can add a little bit of tahini if you like, but these are perfect just as is right there. So I form mine into little kind of patties, fat patties like that. Fat patties. Instead of balls, because I feel like they dehydrate more consistently in this shape, but feel free to do yours however you like to have them. So I'm just going to get these made up into little patties. We'll see how many we get here. And I'm going to put them on my dehydrator tray, and they will dehydrate for probably about 5 to 6 hours in my dehydrator. Your dehydrator may vary. You know, it may take a little bit less time or a little bit more time. So at 118 degrees, probably 4 to 5 hours.
I almost forgot all about my lentil sprouts. I just dehydrated these with a little bit of salt, cumin, and pepper. And I just dehydrated these overnight and added them to a glass storage container for a crunchy salad topping and to go into wraps. Absolutely delicious like this. You could certainly just leave them raw and store them in the fridge like the broccoli sprouts also. My yummy little falafel are ready to go after about 5 hours. They're nice and fluffy in the middle and a little bit crunchy on the outside. Perfect, just how I like them. They're great to have on a hummus plate or on a grain bowl or on top of salad. Just the perfect little treat. And tonight I'm enjoying just a few of them with some green goddess dressing, spicy green goddess dressing, and a little bit of some raw hummus that I also made with my sprouted chickpeas. This is so delicious. And as always, I appreciate you guys watching so much. If you haven't yet, give the video a thumbs up and comment below. Let me know what you think. And certainly, if you're not already, you stayed around and watched the video, please consider subscribing to the channel. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!